Brother man, we are back for a true rack and stack today, buddy.
Today we're not messing around. Three in a row.
This is virtual, hybrid, new age, whatever you want to call it, on steroids, baby.
I was just telling somebody the other day, 3 is the sweet spot. We've done 4. We've actually done 5, and 5 was brutal. But
5 is brutal. 3 is perfect. 3 is perfect, and because the 3 is perfect because I for me, I'm good with 3 people. Beyond that, the 5th one, you're right. I almost feel like we should figure out who that was and redo them, because I know that I didn't even want to be there. I'll be brutally honest, and that's just being truthful. It was like, oh my God, this is the 5th one. Wow, I lost the juice, right? So that's too many. Never do that again.
Of course, we are starting off with a duo, a dynamic duo. So we kind of have a 4-peat today.
That's true, a 4-peat. Let's call that a 4-peat. I like that. And we have Pete, which is one of our guests.
A 1-peat. All right, I like it.
I don't know where we're going with that. That's your job. You're the brains behind this thing. I'm just I don't say the pretty face. I'm not that either. So I'm not
either. So I'll tell you what. Why don't we just get to the dynamic duo?
Well, yeah, because both of them are much better looking than us.
They are, and they're dressed much better than me. So let's get this gag off of the screen and get the good coaches on.
Let's do it. Some coaches. Right. Let's do it. We need it. Let's see. Hey, how you doing, guys?
Hi there. Randy. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So, folks, this is Peg Buehrle, kind of Buehrle as in Wes, and Pete McDowell. See, I had to phonetize that already. It's
right. Good job, Randy.
I got their book right here. Look at that.
Oh, there we are.
Look at that. True. Great book. I love it.
Thank you.
But thanks for jumping on. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having us.
Well, of course, so for anybody that was at the BFBA, the Buckeye Frame Builders Association conference back in January, they got to meet you guys. They got to hear an incredibly good talk. That's where I met you and your partner in crime, Ron.
Yes.
And it was a pleasure to introduce you, as a matter of fact, that day. And I really enjoyed your take on business. You guys are action coaches, which for anybody that doesn't understand, that's a business coach. And if you don't understand what that means or why you should have one, then that's exactly why you should have one. Exactly. And so Pete and Peg are going to talk about that. But I can tell you from the Buckeye meeting, the BFBA, I got a lot of great feedback. People really enjoyed your topic and your conversation and the way you brought it to us. So before we get started, outside of the fact that I'm going to hold it up a few times, you wrote a great book, which I have read.
Thank you.
Oh, good, Randy.
Kudos to you. Good job.
I know. I actually read a lot. I have a pile of books back behind me, and the rest are that whole cabinet is filled with books from people that I've got books from or bought or convinced people to give me. Mm-hmm. But anyway, who is Peg and Pete first? And let me give us like who you are, where you're from, and how you got into this crazy gig of coaching.
Great, Randy. Well, Peggy and I have been business partners for 20 years. We've been coaching for 21 and 20 years, respectively, and our backgrounds are almost identical. But Peg, why don't you give your background first?
So, and then we'll tell you how we got into it. So I used to be in radio as we're sitting here.
Okay.
I was in radio, not on the air. I was on the business end of it.
Okay.
So running radio stations, which is now iHeartMedia. So it was some radio stations there. Did that for a long time, was in media a long time with newspapers and different mediums for about 20 years. And then Action Coach is a franchise. I decided to go ahead and purchase it. We really, and I say we, at the time, it was just me. I really liked developing people, growing things. I had grown a lot of different entities in the radio station. I thought, well, why don't I do this and help others? And so that's what made me buy my franchise. But when I got in, that's when I met Pete. So Pete had a separate franchise. And so that's how we became partners. Is we were about 6 months in, Pete? Was it about 6 months in?
6 months to a year. Yeah.
And we started working together and we thought, gosh, we're really, my background, it's a little bit more marketing, advertising, sales. He's a little more financials, operations, systems. So it ended up being a great partnership. And then as we grew, and Pete, I'll turn it over to you in a minute, we brought in a third coach, Michelle, who's been with us, who was a former client, client.
She's been with us for 10 years.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
every bit. I was going to say, almost 11. So,
And you live here in Columbus, Peg, with your husband, John, and you have 2 adult children.
Yes, Allie, who is 23, about to be 24, and Lauren, who will be 21 in a couple days.
Wow. It might be time for a Dr. Pepper.
I think so too.
It's always time for Dr. Pepper.
It's always time for a Dr. Pepper.
Absolutely.
And we hope one day that Lauren may join our company or join the firm.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very
Yes.
cool.
So, Pete, you want to tell your background?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I have 3 adult children, 2 doctors and a software developer, and they're all west of the Mississippi. So there are 2 of them in Portland and 1 in Utah.
Oh, wow.
We just got back from a big skiing trip. Well, they're snowboarders, knuckle draggers,
Mhm.
But I spent 23 years in the chemical manufacturing business with Occidental Petroleum and enjoyed that. But I got my MBA while I was with Oxy, had a degree in chemical engineering and ran chemical plants, and got interested in business. So when I started the Action Coach franchise, I was alone. Then a few months later, I met Peg, and our backgrounds were different, but our work style and our speed and how we care about people is very similar. Our values are similar. And it's worked out really well. It's been a great partnership, and we have a variety of clients. We probably have 60% of our clients are in the construction or home building or remodeling type trade business, and some HVAC, those type of things. And the other 40% are all over the map, law firms and nonprofit and a variety of different things. So it's really rewarding. We help people succeed in their business.
Sure. And I think it's a great combination listening to the more of that story. You got the marketing end, you got the financial business end, and both are equally important in a successful business, right? So
sure.
it's a great team effort. So I assume you guys work as a team most of the time, or it depends on what the needs are with the particular customer.
Yeah. In some of our bigger firms, we coach multiple peoples within a large firm. We'll both be in there, but in general, it's one or the other.
And you pick your coach. And there's also Michelle, who's not here. And Michelle's background is a business owner who used to be in marketing. So she's got both sides. So like right now, Pete, you're working with a builder, and it's you and Michelle working right now.
Yeah.
And then there's a bigger company, both of our are working. And then some are me solo, and some, you pick your coach.
Gotcha.
That's the neat part.
Yep.
You get to pick the right fit.
That's cool. And I should go backwards slightly, but I just got so excited about talking with you guys. What is the indicator that somebody needs a coach? I mean, why? Well, maybe back up further. I want to go elementary here, I guess. What exactly is a business coach for somebody that just goes, "What the heck is that?" And why if I'm because I'm in the construction world, I'm a rep agency in the post frame building and metal roofing world. Why would any of my people just wake up one day and say, you know what, I think I need a business coach? What drives that? What do they need to be looking for?
Why don't I do the 3 things and you describe?
Sure.
Okay, so I'll say this is when you need a business coach.
And it'll be successful if you
successful.
meet these criteria.
So this is a criteria that we ask people, and we will walk away if any of these are no. Because our success is your success. So if you imagine I'm a coach of a football team, and I happen to go to Ohio State University, who just won the national championship.
But guess who still beat them 3 years in a row?
Yes. So we won the national championship recently. Anyway, I'm just
Wes, they're getting dangerously close. Get your finger over that button.
Yes. So one of the reasons I bring that up is coaching was so instrumental in the success of that team. I mean, it takes the players, but the success of the team came it starts with the coaches, and the coaches don't get on the field with you. They end up, directing you. And it takes 3 things. And think of a player, think of a business. Number 1, are you willing to grow? Do you want to grow? And there are some businesses that don't want to grow. They say, we want to just plateau and learn, so that number 1, you want to grow, right? And learn. So with growing comes, I'm going to learn. Number 2 is I'm willing to change, because we're going to adjust some things along the way to allow you to grow faster. And then the third thing is, when you commit to something, will you follow through? So if you say no to any of those, it won't make sense to get a coach, nor will it work. Because you have to be open to new ideas, want to grow, learn, be able to change, and then execute, and then watch what happens.
There you go. I love that.
Yes. Yeah. So Pete, what would you describe?
Those are good criteria for hiring employees as well. So
yeah, that
they're
makes
willing
sense.
to learn, they're willing to change. Will they follow through, do what they say they're going to do? And they'll probably make a good employee if it's yes to all of those. So a coach really is about helping you get where you want to go faster and hopefully with less effort. So it's not our goals, it's the business owner's goals. And we've got to help them get clarity on their goals. That's the first thing. Mm-hmm. And then to help them look through the different ways that they could reach their goals, give them some ideas from our experience in our own business life and also our clients' lives, because we have all that experience from all of our past clients and current clients, and give them options that they may not have thought of, and then help them pick one of the options and actually follow through and make sure they do it. Mm-hmm. There's an accountability piece to it.
Well, I just say that's a big part of coaching when you put it into sports or into the world of business is you do need some accountability. Some people are way better at holding themselves accountable, right? Sure. And others are not so good, and others are probably non-existent, right? And a lot of good businesses, small businesses, I've found, and I'm going to guess you'll agree, but feel free to disagree, obviously. But there's a lot of small businesses they're very good at the service they provide or making that widget they make. Mm-hmm. But that's where it ends. They don't really know how to market it. They don't even know what that means. They don't know how to necessarily account for what they're doing from an accounting fiscal standpoint. They just literally, I show up on Monday and I make more widgets and hope somebody buys them. And if they do, I bill them. Yes. And sometimes I forget to bill them because I have no system in place. So I think they can end up being incredibly good at their slice, but there's a whole lot more to building that successful business than just making a widget or performing pick anything. As simple as a lawn mowing business. You might mow a beautiful lawn, but if you don't know how to get more business, or you don't know how to pay your employees properly, or you don't know how to collect after you mowed the lawn, right? You're going to go out of business doing that, right?
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Or you may end up burning yourself out too by doing all of those roles, which when we walk into businesses, we're seeing that one owner is doing the marketing, then run. Okay, now I got to produce what I just sold. Okay, run. I got to order the materials. Okay, run. I got to hire somebody. It's getting off of that. What do you call it? The treadmill kind of deal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes as the owner of a business, or maybe the person who started the business, and then it grows, but you're on top of this larger organization, you can let yourself off the hook if you don't have a coach or you don't have a board that you are accountable to actually implement the changes that you think you should do. You can say, well, I'll get to it next year, and pretty soon 5 years goes by. Right.
Well, and what you just said made sense, Pete, because most of these businesses that you would deal with, they probably don't have a board. No, if you have a board, then you have people to be accountable to, right? But in a sense, they've got a 1, 2, or 3 person board with you two and Michelle, or however that works out. At least it's not really a board, but it's somebody to report to, somebody to be accountable for, somebody that I know tomorrow in this meeting, Peg's going to ask me about this.
Correct.
And I need an answer. And I think that's important. So what happens is there ever that aha moment with most business owners where they just one day go, yeah, I got to have somebody. I don't even know what it is yet, but I got to do something. Is there like an aha moment, or is it just?
I think in some cases it's a pain. It all depends. We have usually a couple ones. It could be. I'll just use an example of one of our businesses in a different state. Theirs was, oh my gosh, my employees aren't. It was a builder. My employees aren't executing the quality of work in the time in which they need to, and I'm exhausted from telling them this again and again and again. What am I doing wrong? So it can be a frustrating point. It could be a pain, which we call the pain.
Where you're seeing the same problem over and over again?
Yes. Okay. It could be that, or it also can be, we call it the German Shepherd or the gold medal. Are you running from the German Shepherd, or are you chasing the gold medal? Is it, I want to grow? We had another client that said, I have been the same size year after year after year.
Sales volume.
Sales volume. Yeah. What am I doing wrong? How do I go? How do I jump from that?
Break through.
How do I break through? How do I get to the gold medal? I want to get farther, faster. And what am I missing? So generally, Pete, is that what you're thinking?
Our clients, the bulk of our clients are very high achievers. And they're people who know that they don't know everything.
Oh, that's a good one.
And they're interested in learning. They want to learn. They go listen to speakers and things like that. And it's somebody that knows that, hey, I've been between 5 to 10 million a year for the last 10 years, and I can't figure out how to get to 20.
And we have somebody that's been 20 years we had somebody that was at 1.5 million for 20 years and brought us on and said, I want to do more. And the following 10 years, we got them to 11 million.
Wow. That's impressive.
That's without working more. That's the key.
Without working more. We had to grow the team. There's lots in systems. That's what we did. And the reason was they want to be able to give it to their children. And they wanted something to give.
And at 1.5 million is not enough to give, right?
Right.
Not to too many people. Right.
Not to too many people.
That's a one-man show. I mean,
so now they're at 11 million with a net profit of 12%.
Okay. Very nice.
So now
very nice. So that's some good work there. And I suppose that's probably one of the hardest things is a small business owner by nature is very independent minded, very probably has a bit of an ego, which we all do, but probably in business and especially small business, we probably have more ego than maybe some, right? And so admitting that we don't know, or even accepting that there's a possibility that we don't know, and identifying what it is we don't know. I mean, that's some pretty serious stuff you got to try to figure out, right?
Yes. You know, the other thing, Randy, and you touched on it, one of you guys did briefly, is the family. Is we help people, probably 60% of our clients are in early, mid, or late stages of succession planning. And we have one client that's at the end of this year, it's transferring to 3 of her current employees who are leaders in the company, and they will own it, and she will be in Florida. So we help people think about it ahead of time and then start to evaluate the different options that you have for getting out of your business, and evaluate those things. And once you've picked a route that you want to go, to help them get the business in shape where they can get the most value out of it.
Yeah. So back to when you do your initial interview with somebody, they get a hold of you somehow, hopefully somebody from this podcast, they say, you know what, I think I need a coach.
That does happen often because we're on podcasts. We get calls because then they get an idea of what it is, because people don't know what it is.
Exactly, because it's amazing the times that I've talked to people about business coaches, because I know several, and they'll go, I don't even know what that means exactly. What do you mean that? I don't understand. I think they don't know that they don't know, but they don't really know what that means for them. What's that involvement going to be? But so you talk about the 3 things they have to meet. Once they agree that I want to grow, I want to, what was the other one? I'll learn and I want to follow up, and they agree to that. I assume they're going to identify some areas that they know they're weak in, and then you'll start to focus on that area. And Pete, Peg, you're maybe more on the marketing side. If I really need to market stuff, I feel like I'm pretty good at doing some of this other stuff. I got a good accounting firm. I think I got a handle on that right now, Pete. But I don't even begin to know how to let anybody know I have stuff. Right? I have stuff, but nobody knows I have stuff. So do you let them self-identify where they want to work, or is it more of a, hey, look, I want to look at the whole thing, and I need to work with you on all these areas, or will you be selective based on what their wants or needs are? I don't know if that makes sense. But.
Well, yeah, it did. And I think one way that we actually just started a new client yesterday. And what we started with is, okay, let's pretend it's a year from now. What does it look like a year from now in your business? And this gentleman is working 55 to 60 hours a week, and it's a little too much. And he's also doing things that aren't at his, there aren't things that he enjoys, and he should delegate more.
Right.
And so we talked about what his business and his role in the business will look like 12 months from now, and got some clarity on that picture. And then we came back and said, all right, what are we going to accomplish in the next 3 months? So we'd like to get an idea of what would you like to change? And then come back and say, okay, knowing this, clarity on the 1-year goal, what do we do in the next 3 months?
And sometimes they do self-identify. I was glad that you said that, Randy, because they're like, this is it, what I need. What we will do is look at the overall health of the business. We do need to look at your financials. I want to make sure that we don't grow something that is not doing a net. We're all about the net.
Right.
How do we increase the net? We're working with somebody, and we work with somebody in New Hampshire, and their net was a little lower than the industry average. And we're like, for a remodeler, we want you to be at 10%. And they were below that. And I said, well, before we grow, let's get that net up. We don't want to grow something that's making you work harder for not getting all the money.
Right.
So then we come up with strategies and ideas of what can happen there.
So, and I think we might have touched on this a little bit when we was chatting prior to your talk at the BFBA, but what's a time frame look like with a coach? Is that like a lifetime deal that we're going to do, or are we going to be a lot early on, I'm assuming?
Yep.
And then I'm going to guess that that's depending on what happens, right? I mean, it could be you've got them where they need to be, and they probably don't need that anymore. But I'm sure that there's a lot of cases where there's some kind of an ongoing accountability program. Sure. Once you do the basic work. Does that make sense?
There are times when clients will start on a weekly basis and then we go to twice a month. So that does happen. More often than not, when we start now, it's twice a month. So we'll meet with someone 2 times a month. We have a client that the client I mentioned earlier that is retiring to Florida. It's coming up on 15 years for her. And her business,
but she's been coaching.
Her business has grown dramatically since we started. And she's actually added services into her business. She started as HVAC only, and now she's got plumbing and electrical. And so it's a much larger firm, but our average client stays with us 6 years.
Oh, okay.
On average.
And when we bring you on, we are looking at, I would say anytime you're looking at a coach, I want you to give them, whether it's us or any other coach, give them a year of a commitment to make it really grow. You should see results and changes within the first 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not, then we're doing something wrong, because we want to get that low hanging fruit kind of thing. And the reason that if you're with a coach a long time, it was funny. Somebody said, boy, are these guys just not getting it? You have to teach them that much? And I'm like, let's take the company that was like 1.5 when we started and then is 11. Every time you're growing your company from a 1.5 to a 3 million to a 5 to a 7 to a 10, it's a different company. It's different people. It's different structures. It's different learnings.
Right.
We also coach the entire company. So when we come in, we say we're the team's coach, not just the owners. And what that means is we might need to meet with that general manager. Mm-hmm. Or we might need to meet with that project manager or the project manager or the production manager. So right now we're working with a team where we were working with the production manager and they had a carpenter leave, and he calls us up and says, I'm a little concerned. What am I not seeing? This carpenter was really good. Hard to get good carpenters. Can you help me? So we did just a quick little review of his other project. He's the production manager. We talked to project managers. We found out a little bit of what was happening, and it was you know what it was? It was a slight adjustment because everybody was really happy. It's a really good company. What they were doing is they were asking the carpenter to do things that without support that he wasn't used to. So it might be a larger project needing different skills, and they were more abdicating versus delegating. He was out of his depth. He got uncomfortable. He was getting upset. And so we know next time we need to do better training. Right? We need to do onboarding, training, meeting, and communicating to stop that from happening.
Yeah. You touched on something a minute ago with that growth, and it's something that I think probably most small businesses would have no way to even understand, because most people that start small businesses aren't doing them after getting an MBA and doing an internship. And, they started making a widget, and then they decided to build their own widget and do their own thing. Right.
They've got themselves a job. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
Exactly. So, but I think a lot of times growing sounds great, but I think a lot of people don't understand that if it's not controlled growth, there comes a lot of pain with growth that they don't recognize. Like you said, you go from 1.5 to 3. If you have 1.5 to 5 million in 2 years without the type of help that you guys can bring, they're going to bury themselves, right? Because you don't bring none of the logistics along with it. You don't bring any of if you need 3 people to do $1.5 million, it's double that. Doesn't mean you need 6. It's probably 12 or whatever the number is, right? And I think a lot of guys don't get that.
If we don't put the attention and energy on systems and training and development of people to operate the systems, then we'll have a larger business with the same problems we had when we had the small business.
And actually probably worse problems.
And in some cases, your consistency and your quality, what your customers see, drops. And then you have trouble.
Right. Right. And while the reward at 5 million versus 1.5 is greater, the potential risk is greater as well, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's
So
exactly it.
you want to be careful with that.
And why not hire somebody who's been there, done that in your industry for other companies that you can
Exactly.
avoid so many mistakes that you might make, because we can say, oh, that actually happened with so and so. So here's an example. Somebody wanted to hire a project manager, and we said, do you have the system built for the project manager to be onboarded properly to operate that system? They're like, no. And I go, that just happened with someone. The project manager said, this is ridiculous. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. Got frustrated and left. So we went in and we built the system, then hired them.
There you go. Yes, because you without that, you got a revolving door again, right? Because you're going to get the next guy or the next girl, whatever the case may be. And I'm old school. Everybody's a guy to me. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Well, if you go back to the football analogy, we've got a bunch of great players who are tremendous athletes and no plays.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, go score a touchdown now, right?
Down the field, and we don't know where we're going.
Well,
we're going to go fast, though.
Yeah. Well, and so just in fairness, to show how fair I can be, Ohio State didn't win. Oh, it hurts to say that word, but didn't win by Ryan Day sending him on the field, say, okay, let's go score. And they're all going to go, because you got 11 guys with 11 different ideas, right?
Yes.
I mean,
exactly.
Somebody's got to.
I like that. 11 guys, 11 different ideas. And
well, exactly. All day long, which means it doesn't matter if they were playing McNeese State, they're probably going to get beat because if McNeese State has a plan and 11 guys on the same plan, you got 11 guys with no plan, even though you're probably at every position way better, that McNeese State probably still going to beat you because they have a coordinated effort, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I think, you can use that one. That's a brilliant.
That's a good example.
Right, we'll take that one.
We'll take that one. I love that,
okay.
Randy.
Yeah, you write that down.
That's good.
So thinking about when you bring in, or when you come in and you work with the whole team, I got to believe there's some pushback, or could be pushback sometimes from some of the employees, that I may be your general manager and you're the owner, and now you're bringing in this Pete and Peg and Michelle and all these people to disrupt my whole world and tell me what to do, and that I think you don't believe in me. I know there's got to be some of that. How do you work through that?
Yes. So there's resistance, and one of the things is it's about the introduction of us in the proper way, which we help with, because we're not here to come in and clean house. We're not from Office Space. We're not from, we're not the Bobs from Office Space. That's not who we are. So it was funny because I just hung up Pete. I didn't tell you this story because it happened 2 days ago. I've got this guy's name is Lee. He's a production manager, and he wanted me to talk to some of his project managers, and they're quiet kind of guys, and they're not used to talking to a coach. They don't know what a coach is. And then I ended up talking to him, and it was a lovely conversation. It was a short 10-minute conversation to each one. And I go, Lee, they were just so lovely. And he goes, well, I didn't want them to be afraid of you. So I told him, she's not here to create chaos or be mean or, crack a whip. She's actually here. And it came from him. I want you to talk to her. I really trust her. She's making us better. She's helped me. And can you just talk to her to help me better? And so it's over time. It's not like we're going to be introduced to a team and say, okay, go. But it's in moments so that we earn the trust before we ask them to do anything.
Well, and in our larger companies, the people that we coach are generally the high performers or high potential people, and people get it. They know the coaching is not free. And they know that if the company is investing in you, that it's important and something that's going to help your career in the long run.
Well, exactly. And I think one of the I've always heard, and I feel is accurate, that one of the if you drill down deep with dissatisfaction amongst employees, improper training is probably as much of a dissatisfactor, if that's a word, as pay or benefits or other things, right? People hate being in a situation. I think most people, 90% of people, I don't know what the number is, really do want to do a good job.
Of course.
And they want to be a good employee. They want to advance. They want to do the job for the person that's paying them. And I think that there's a massive frustration if they don't have that training. So I would think, like you said, presented correctly and properly in the right light, most of these people are going, oh, finally. Geez, I mean, I like Bill, but man, I don't know what I'm doing. But maybe this Pete guy or this Peg lady or this Michelle lady can finally help me understand. Like you said, with the one project manager, I'm pretty good at managing projects, but I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. Right?
People want to have great relationships at work, and they want to have a sense of purpose. They want to know that what they're doing means something. And if you can do those two things, 90% of the time, people are going to soar.
Love it. Love it. So that's your job, make people soar.
Yes, that is
Okay.
it. That's it. Oh, that's our new tagline. Randy's stealing it.
I know.
Hashtag stealing.
Hashtag stealing. I like hashtags. I make up hashtags for things that nobody else ever used, but I just made it up because I want it in case. Yeah. Well, you never know; it might go viral someday, and I'm the first.
Oh, look at hashtag stealing.
Hashtag stealing. There it is. I love it. Oh man, we'll have one comment ever, but there we are. We'll have one post.
There we go. I love it.
You're going to make a comment on the book. The book is a real quick read. It's only about 2 pages per chapter, so it's very simple. And we've got a little bit of quote homework at the end of each chapter, but it's really about you thinking about what was in those 2 pages and how does it apply to my business life.
Mm-hmm. You know what I really like about it is how it's written. Is I like your let's take action at the end.
Do you like that?
I do, because I think you write it for you wrote this book, and I was very interested because I think I may have mentioned I'm in the formatting stage of a book, and so I'm always interested in what people do, and so I look at things with a different eye than I used to, because now I'm looking at it from the eye of a soon to be published author, and so I'm always interested in what can I do better or different, or what's other people do, but I realized that in a lot of books, there's going to be people that have a real interest that's going to read the whole book, which I did. Mm-hmm. But there's also going to be people that can gain a lot because they're skimmers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I read your whole book, and I'll be brutally honest, I probably got 500 books somewhere between places. Mm-hmm. I haven't read them all. Yeah. But I've skimmed them all. But I like these because you make it easy to skim if that's what you want to do and still bring really good pertinent information. If I would not suggest that you don't read this book. I think this is a book that's easy to read, like you said. I would suggest anybody that has any interest in coaching or think they may need coaching, read the book. Yeah. But if you read through the book and just looked at those pages alone, you're going to pick up a lot of good stuff. And I think that's a compliment, because I think that's well done.
Randy, that was so on purpose, and it's for the person that's busy, that doesn't want to read a whole book, but just needs some nuggets. And actually, we hired a coach to help us.
Oh, did you?
That book. Oh, yeah. Yes, we had a coach help us. And those were his suggestions. And one of the things he said is, how many people have a whole bunch of books on their nightstand and they don't read it because it's too much?
Exactly. Or how many people have had a thought of writing a book and have never done it 20 years later?
Right.
They still haven't gotten it done. That's why we hired a coach. And
that makes sense.
We have a board, so we meet 3 times with the owners of other coaching firms in other parts of the country. Mm-hmm. So we're not direct competitors, but we get together 3 times a year and act as a board for each other.
Oh, nice.
So it's congruent with what we do.
Well, it is. It is. And, because I noticed that, because, not to get off the subject, but in mine, I call them Randyisms. And so at the end of each chapter, I got a little Randyism, which is just some rough, quick sentence or 2 blurb about something that I felt was the most important from that chapter. So if you don't read it all because you got bored after the introduction, at least you can go through and get the 18 Randyisms. Something.
I love it. That's what our coach James.
It makes sense to me. So
yes,
awesome. Well, like I said, it is a great book. It tells about it. It's available. How do people get your book?
You can contact us through the website, which actioncoachcolumbus.com. There's a way to get a hold of us, and then we can get a book to you.
Okay.
And that's the easiest way.
And it's even signed. Mine's even signed by you guys.
I know.
Yeah, yours is signed.
Yeah.
Mine's signed. I'm kind of special.
If you contact us, we can sign it too.
Okay, very good. That's awesome. So what's next what's next in the world of Peg and Pete? Because obviously you have coaches that you work with. Mm-hmm. What's next in your journey? Because you can't tell me you got no plans for growth, learning, and follow up, or then this whole thing was all fake and we're going to not put it out. So
one of the things that we've been doing to grow our firm is we found that there was a hole in training. And we said, what we want to do, and we started it actually in November of this past year, is we started a 12-week series. Action Coach has a 12-week series of management training and then leadership training, sales training that we put in virtual classes. And so we started an entire series. We did a couple in November. We did, what do you call it? Pilots, just to see.
Right. Tested a little.
And so our next stage that we've been developing this year is an entire division of just training programs that it's actually been in such demand.
And it's multiple companies there may be 12 to 15 people that are in a training session at a time. And they learn from each other as well as they learn from Peg and I.
So you can,
most of our clients, especially the mid-sized to even larger companies, they promote the best person in the department to become the manager of the department. And all of a sudden they've got 8 people reporting to them and they've had no management or leadership training. So it's really giving them some foundational and systems to be able to become a great manager.
Yes.
And then after that, we'll get them into the leadership program.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So as we you've been very kind with your time, and I appreciate so much you guys being on. This is, I knew just, having done what I do for more than a day or two with people, I recognize good people and people I want to know and be around just about that fast. And as soon as I met you guys at the BFBA, I knew you guys were the real deal. And then you didn't prove me wrong with your talk. So, and this is even better. So, we've got your information scrolling across the bottom. People can contact you at actioncoachcolumbus.com. They can get your book there. And I think I got to tell you, I think people should reach out to you. That's what I think.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure to meet with you. I love your energy.
I got lots of energy. I drive my
people. That's one of the things. People want to be around people who are positive and people who have energy.
Yeah, there's only one way to go: positive and energetic, or the other's dead.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
there you go.
I'm old, but not that old. But before we go, we cannot escape the SAQ, the should ask question. What happens in your daily life, whether you're out at a cocktail party, you're meeting with a customer, just wandering around the street, talking about what you do, that you just wish somebody to ask you, that they just never do? What's a should ask question for Peter?
So when do I start planning to exit my business?
Okay.
When do I start?
Great question.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I assume you guys have an answer for
Should
everybody.
We answer
it? Yeah. I think this is a great segue for nice job, Pete. Peg, answer the question.
Well, you're going to answer how to answer it, but I wanted to tell you that is probably the question that most people don't think of asking because they get so tied up in the day-to-day. True story, ran into a guy, he was in his 70s, healthy, young 70s. And he goes, I think I'm ready to sell. And I'm telling you, we were running out of time. So he asked the question too late.
Gotcha.
He asked it too late.
Well, the other story is we have a client that's been with us for a long time. And about almost 15 years ago, her husband died suddenly in the early 40s of a heart attack.
Wow.
And had no succession plan.
Gotcha.
Now, he did have insurance, which was fantastic for her. And the business has thrived. But you want to start 8 to 10 years before you think you might want to leave. And some people don't think about it because it's uncomfortable, right? It's my baby. I started this.
Right.
I'm going to leave it to somebody else.
Right.
I don't even like the idea. I don't want to mess with that. And pretty soon, 5 years goes by. And
and I want to be cognizant of your time, but that just made me think of something. I got to go back to this now. When you said that it's your baby, one of the beautiful things I think you guys bring is that outside look. Because I always call it the ugly baby syndrome, which is probably not nice. But every parent, let's face it, not all babies are cute, let's just say. But it is to the parents. And they're going, oh, look at my cute little baby, isn't? And everybody else is going, oh my God, I mean, you need a hood over that thing, right? Because they can't see it because it's theirs. And I think that's a key to what you guys do is I got to believe most small businesses have that same syndrome. This is mine. I build it. Nobody's going to tell me I'm wrong. I'm right. You can't see the forest for the trees. And sometimes you need somebody like you guys to come in and say, I'm not telling you you're all wrong because you got a nice business here.
Sure.
but it's not quite as cute as you think it is, right? So
Right.
let's try to fix it. So that just made me think of that when you said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Okay.
good. Yes.
Most of the time, they know where the warts are. They just
Oh,
don't
yeah.
tell them to everybody. So.
Exactly. Well, Pete and Peg, or Pete Peg, or Peg Pete, thank you for jumping on. I do appreciate it, and
Thank you,
this
Randy.
has been
Great
fun.
to see you.
And once Wes and I always say, once a friend of Building Wins Live, always a friend. So anytime we can ever be of any help, we're a phone call away, or a text,
Well, thank
or a
you.
digital,
Appreciate
or virtual,
your time, Randy.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
or a carrier pigeon, or a dove, or something. Just get rid of this. All right. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and keep building businesses out there.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right.
Bye.
Peg and Pete. Man, that was the good stuff. So live it, love it, own it. I say that all the time, and that's a big part of what they're talking about is you help people live the business, love the business, own the business, and not be owned by the business, right? And just keep doing what Wes and I have been doing, and what Pete and Peg are doing today is live it, love it, own it. I just said that, but love what you do and do what you love. And I don't know, watch you out. Let's go make today your best day ever. Till tomorrow. Cheers, y'all.